Hey guys, in this video we're going to be walking through the HTML document and exploring what each of these parts mean. Now when I say parts, I really should say elements or tags. So each one of these, bits of text with the angle bracket in the front and the angle bracket at the end, those are what we call tags. So this is the HTML document skeleton, meaning every HTML document at the very least needs to look like this. The first one, which is Doctype, is like a declaration to the browser that we're doing an HTML5 document. So this is saying, hey, I'm an HTML5 document. Next, we have the start of the actual document, which is the HTML tag. So a lot of the times you'll see the HTML tag written without this attribute, right? So it would just be HTML. And notice that when I click HTML, you see that the other line or the other representation of HTML also gets highlighted. So this HTML is the open tag and this one is the closing tag. So this is where the document starts and this is where that document ends. And notice the difference. One has that / in it. All right. So you open a tag, angle bracket, you put in the tag name or the word for the tag, you close it, and then you close that, the angle bracket, and then you have to close the tag itself by angle bracket / the same word that was used in the opening tag and then the angle bracket. So that's just the pattern of how these tags look. And if you look at the others, you notice the same trend. Head has an open and close. So head opens here, head closes there. So an HTML document has two parts. It has a head and a body. The head has information about the document and by extension about the website. So you'll see some meta tags, and by default, this document that was generated using Visual Studio Code by using the Emmet extension HTML:5, it generated this document and it's giving us some default meta tags. So we have some meta tags that help us with some scalability on any device. Those are not absolutely essential to an HTML document, so we could actually live without them. But since they saw it fit to give us, and they do serve a good purpose, I'll leave them there. However, inside head, the most common tag that you see right afterwards is the title tag. So you see the title, and then we type the word or the text that we want to appear in the top of the browser or the tab. So I'm going to say homepage instead of saying documents. And that is going to be the title of our index page because our index page is our home page. And then we have the body. So the body now has the content of the page that is going to get rendered in the browser. Now in the body, we're going to explore the heading, paragraph, and anchor tags. So one thing I will always encourage you to indent your code, indent your HTML code, because it makes it easier to see where your tags start and end. And that will make, managing lots of content and lots of HTML much easier. So let's start with a heading tag. Now we have 6 heading tags and they are H1 through H6. H1 is the largest, H6 is the smallest. So let's write a tag actually. So this was auto generated. Let's actually write a tag together. So we go angle bracket, then we say the name of the tag. In this case, I'm saying H1, and then I close the angle bracket. And then with Visual Studio Code and many other IDEs of similar nature, it will actually complete that for you. So it will, if you write the open portion successfully, it will just write the close portion for you automatically. All right. And then what you want to do is in between the open and close, you want to put the text. So if I want a heading, I can say my first website, or let's say web page rather, my first web page. That is my heading. Now, like I said, you have H1, H2, H3, H4, and H6 being the smallest. So it's the same principle. If I wanted an H3 tag for argument's sake, I would just open angle bracket, say H3, close it, and then say this is a subheading. So at least when it gets rendered and we look at it, you see that this text is huge and this one is a bit smaller, and H6 would be even smaller than those two. So if you want to practice that, you can pause right here and just write all 6 heading tags, H1, H2, H3 with some text, so that when you preview it, you can see exactly what they look like. Now, another very popular text tag is the P tag. So I'm going to go into the new line and I'm going to write angle bracket P, close angle bracket, and that opens and closes the P tag. And the P tag is basically the paragraph tag. So any block of text that you want to write, maybe you want to write an autobiography, you would put it inside of a P tag. So I'm going to write a nice little snippet. All right, so I wrote this nice little sentence, and you notice I can put a space in there, full stop, anything that I want to be printed as, a block of text, it can be put inside of the P tag. And this can span multiple lines. It's not limited to one line. So I could have written and written and written until, and it would just make sure that when you're doing that, it's inside of the P tag. Now, let's take a look at what we've done so far. And to do that, I'm going to show you how you can access the page. So we would have created the page inside of a folder. I can right click on that page or right click in Explorer, and I can go to Reveal in Explorer. See that? And what that does is launch the folder where my file is being stored. So I can just double click that file and it will launch with my default browser. On my PC, I have Google Chrome, and there we go. So we have our H1 tag, my first web page. We have our H3 tag, which is slightly smaller in size. I'm sure you see it. And then we have our P tag. All right. So I can go ahead and write more content. So if I wanted another paragraph or another block of text, but I didn't want it in the same line, I can do another P tag. So I can have as many P tags as I need, and I can type text. All right, so I did another P tag where I wrote a bit more text, stating my aspirations to world domination through HTML. But the fact is that I can have multiple P tags. There's no limit to the number of lines allowed inside of the P tag. And this time, all I did was break the line. So you see P tag runs in one line here. All I did for this one was to say P, and then I press enter. And you see it went to the next line automatically indented. And then I didn't like the disjointedness of having P up here and P at the end here. So I just press enter so it goes down into the next line. All right, so that's all I really did. So I'm just showing you that the layout kind of gets secondary, but then you want to make sure you have a clean layout so that your code or your page is readable. So I'm going to save changes here. And if you haven't already done so, then you can enable autosave with Visual Studio Code by going to File, and you see autosave. So you can just always click autosave so you don't forget to save before you preview. I've seen people spend hours wondering why their changes won't work because they forgot to save. So you can always just enable autosave to spare yourself that extra step. And then in the web page, you can preview it. So I can just refresh this, that I already have it open, and you see that there's a space. So the P tag and the heading tags come with like an implied spacing between itself and the next line. So this space, I didn't put that there. I didn't make any provision for H1 and H3 to be this far apart. By default, H1 is pushing the content around it away. And just the same way, H3 is pushing the content around it away to some extent. And then we see here that the P tag is doing just the same thing. Now, what if I actually wanted the one P tag to have its own break? So I wrote all of this inside of one P tag, but I wanted maybe this sentence that I hope I can get use my next superpower. I wanted this sentence to be in the next line, but I don't want to put it in another P tag. So I'm going to introduce it to another tag, and this one is called the BR tag, or break line. So when we want to break line, we just say open BR and then slash and then close. Now this one looks very unique compared to all the others. Notice every tag that we've done up until this point has the open and it has the close, right? P, H3, and body, head, HTML, all of them. But then the BR tag is what we call a self-closing tag. So let's just say 90% of the tags you'll use in HTML will have this kind of anatomy. They need an open and they need a close. Very few of them, BR included, you have to close it in itself. So you just say the tag name and then you say slash and then you close the angle bracket, and that is the entire tag. As we go along, you see others, so I'm not going to, I'll introduce them as we need them, but I'm not going to tell you all of them one time. I don't think it makes sense to do that. So let's move ahead and see exactly how that looks. So what we're expecting is that this is going to be in one line, and then this portion or this sentence is going to start in the next line. So let us go back to our browser and refresh, and then we see. So notice the space is different between the 2p tags. The 2p tags has a bigger space than what the BR tag gives us. So, you can use the tags to your advantage. Just understand the behavior of each one and how to manipulate your content using them. The final tag that we're going to look at in this video is the anchor tag. Now, the anchor tag is what we use to create a link. So a link can be to another website. It can be to another page inside of your website. So the anchor tag is basically what they use in navigation bars. When you click home, you navigate to home. And then when you click about us, you go to that page. Anchor tags do that. So we only have one page right now, so I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to create an anchor tag that's just going to link to an external website. All right, as the course goes along, then we'll see how to create anchor tags to link to other pages inside of our website. So I'm going to open, and then the tag for this one is A. So I open the angle bracket, say A, close angle bracket, and it opens and closes. So notice this one is not self-closing. All right. And then we need to say the text that the link should have. So the text that the link should have is, let's say I wanted to build a link that goes to Amazon.com, right? So I wanted to print Amazon to the browser. So if I make that change and save, and if you installed live server, I'm going to show you a shortcut way to preview your sites now. So instead of trying to find the index file and open it with your browser and go back and refresh every time, if you installed live server, and once again you go to extensions, and then you just look for live server, and then you can install it Ritwick Day. All right. If you installed it, then you can just right click the page and you can just say open with live server. So if I say open with live server, it will launch the browser automatically. All right. And I don't need to have up that preview anymore. So let me just go through that again. Let me close. And then I'm going to say right click, open with live server. And then the browser will pop up with my content. Now look at this cool part to it. So while I have up the live server, and I'm just going to dock both windows beside each other just so you can see, I'm going to make some changes. So my first, and I'm going to say HTML website, and look at that. So you see that it's making real-time changes. So as soon as you save here, you don't have to come back and refresh. The page is automatically updated. So it can cut down the amount of time you're bouncing between the editor and the browser. If you just say view with live server, the browser will be ready for your changes and ready to show you what it is you are doing. All right, so that wasn't the moral of this this lesson or this portion of the lesson. The moral is setting up the link. So I want Amazon. I want a link to Amazon. Now, if you look at this, I wrote Amazon inside of the anchor tag, and I see Amazon printing, but it's not clickable, right? So one of the cues of when something can be clicked is that the cursor usually turns into a hand. And as you can see, it's not doing that. So it's not clickable. So we need what we call an attribute, and this attribute is called href. All right. So inside of the open A, so that's between the A and the close angle bracket, I'm going to space it, and then I'm going to say href is equal to, all right. So href, I guess, is short for hyperlink reference. All right. But then even if you hover over it, it says it contains a URL to some hyperlink, or this is where the URL goes. Now inside of the quotation marks for our href, then we put our URL for the website that we want to go to. And when I say URL, I mean the full URL. So we need the https://www.amazon.com. All right. So the reason we put in the full HTTPS and so on is that if we don't, then it will actually be looking for a local page by the name of, if I put just www. Then we'll be looking for a local page called www.amazon.com, which wouldn't be correct. All right. So you want to put in the full HTTPS part of the link, and then we save, and then we just go back to our live browser or live server, and then we can just test that. So I can click this and it will navigate to the website that I indicated. All right. So one other thing though is that you generally, when you have an external link, you want a new tab to open or a new window to open that external link without closing your website. So what you can do is add another attribute. So these that we're adding inside the tag, they're called attributes. All right. An attribute usually has a name and then an equal sign and then quotation marks. And then inside the quotation marks is the value for that attribute. So let's write out target together. So the new attribute is target. So I'm going to say target as the attribute. And then I'm going to say is equal to open and close quotation marks. And then inside of the quotation marks, I'm going to say underscore blank. All right. So target equals blank. And then let's see the behavior of this attribute. So when I click on Amazon again, notice it opens an entirely new tab. It does not navigate away from my original website. All right, so that's it for a quick look at some very basic tags and very basic text-based tags that we'll use. Also, the overview of the HTML document in total. In the next video, we will start looking at images and lists.